Wonderbirds are supported by dogfriendly.co.uk, improving the lives of dogs and their owners.
Hello, darling.
Morning.
This weather, Richard, what is happening to this weather? I've got a tidal wave on my canal.
There's no excuse. Please don't ever tell him that again. He needs therapy after he said that.
Honestly, I cannot dry my tights on the radiator for much longer.
No,
dear.
I agree. No. Same here.
Do you have? Are they gusset free, darling?
No, I knew you'd go there already. But no, they're not. They have maximum support. Maximum support tights for my
support tights.
Yes. Take me back to my figure skating days, ladies. No, seriously, the house is like a Chinese laundry because we've got to dry everything on the radiators, on the rads, as my dad used to say. Do you remember when you used to have to drain the rads? You'd go around with a key.
Yes, Alan Key.
Yeah. Well, below stairs here at the manor, next to the gift shop, obviously opposite the spa, we've got really old radiators that pump out heat like you wouldn't believe. And only the sort of the bedroom and stuff that they've got the sort of modern ones in. We'll have to dig a hole or something, bring some pipes up and put a new radiator in because they pump out heat. You get such a bead on. So yeah. Been doing a bit of laundry, ladies, Saturday morning.
Well, you know what, Richard? With all the guests that come through your turnstile, there must be a plumber.
It must. We do have a very, very adept man when it comes to our pipes. Thank you, Cherie. And he recently took advantage of my mum's hospitality, so to speak, with a builder's brew when he finally fixed the drip in her shower. And now the dripping has stopped. It's like, oh, Rich. These carpets.
I've had a drip in my shower for quite a long time, but I can't get rid of him.
Never stop.
You've had several, darling.
Please, have we not got a mute button? Richard needs to have a mute control. It needs to happen. I'm sorry.
The glamour of our domesticated lives, but bless my mum, I do love her. She's got new hearing aids. I think I've mentioned this before, and of course now she can hear absolutely everything. In fact, she could probably hear us chatting. From here, so now it's the floorboards that are creaking, and I thought I'll fix the bathroom, mother. I can't be digging up the floors now.
No. Has she got one of those new fangle dangle ones where you can't see it, it's gone, and it's disappeared completely?
No, you know, like an inbuilt one or whatever. No. No, she's just got the regular ones, but I mean the old ones were like out of an Ealing comedy, you know. I mean,
they are.
Yeah.
Proper old flesh-coloured NHS ones that sort of hold on like this.
Great.
Good
old days. The good old days.
Our theme for today, Ricardo, are your first sort of childhood memories. Not memories, but memories.
Oh dear God, what is happening this Saturday?
If I was in any way, shape or form breastfed, that memory that is completely blocked out clearly and had no effect on me whatsoever. So I was thinking about this, and it made me think of the old smells and senses that I used to get when I went to school for the first time, primary school. So I went to primary school in Hampshire before we moved up to Scotland. So obviously a loose 5 years old or whatever. And I remember, you always remember dappled sunlight. It's really weird. So I remember playing in water, the sand pit, the Wendy house. I did a very good job with the Wendy house. And then it got me thinking about, because there were all these porta cabins, weren't there? So I remember, do you remember that white glue that they gave us to play with?
Smelt of almonds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smelt of almonds.
And I remember that. I remember we used to have wax crayons, and they would sort of melt in the window.
Oh yeah.
And I remember making a collage of the Queen. I mean, really, where were the clues? A collage of
yes.
when I was very young, out of pasta. And then it got me thinking about two teachers that I had, and one of whom.
And they smelt.
Yeah, no, they did.
Almonds.
I mean, I imagine back then. They weren't as old as perhaps I thought they were while I was learning everything at their knee. But Mrs. Davis was an absolute favourite. And she had this plume of sort of Slocum-esque type hair, not quite the rinse that you did in Are You Being Served? Clang.
Yes.
But Sherry, I remember Mrs. Davies was always very finely turned out, sort of prime of Miss Jean Brodie-ish or something, but beautifully turned out. And then there was another teacher called Mrs. White, and for some reason when I was in Mrs. White's class, and I would have only been about 6 or 7, I remember I wasn't as confident. And I don't know why my confidence was not, but she sort of picked up on it. And I never really got along well with her. And I was just thinking as I was dozing this morning before joining you girls, that it's that old cliche, isn't it? That you always remember how people made you feel, you know?
Always.
Yeah. And, it just brought it all back when we were talking about this theme. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And other early memories were basically all to do with holidaying on the Isle of Wight, which we talked about before. And I remember everything is always dappled sunlight, which
Yes,
is
and happy.
Yeah.
My
That's
very
a really
first
good
memory
point.
is very, very weird, actually. And it really is a first memory. I remember falling off my potty. It was on a
Are you
half.
sure this is your
So
first
it's
memory,
about
darling?
5
My
years
first memory.
ago.
Darling,
It was-
are you sure, Debbie?
Not
Debbie,
last
are you sure
night.
this is your first memory, darling?
Yes,
I'm not
this
sure.
is
We don't.
serious. Listen to this. So I was on the hearth. I was by the fire. So obviously it was very cold coming from Sunderland, no central heating, sitting, and I remember falling off my potty. And then my grandma saying to me, don't tell mummy, because I think my mother would have been cross that my grandma would have let me fall off my potty. So it was the first secret I ever had to keep. And I remember it. So it's because my mum, because I must have hurt my bruised or something. And I remember my mummy saying, what happened? And me saying, I don't remember. And I remember saying that I remember knowing that I couldn't tell her that I'd fallen off my potty.
Oh,
And nothing's changed. That's the wonderful thing.
Isn't that interesting? I remember keeping a secret. I remember keeping a secret.
Well, it's
So sweet.
that is nice.
what about you, Sherry? When was the last time you used your commode?
Well, I had a very strange childhood. Very odd indeed. My mother was a model, and so I used to go to do catwalks with her when I was about 3, in my little sticky out dress and my white sandals. But my mother insisted when I was about 3.5 that I go to a French nursery school. So I went to a French nursery school, and everybody spoke French. And indeed, I had to, times tables, lunch, and everything. And I didn't understand a word anybody said, but I used to speak it, and everybody spoke French. And we used to do, this is when I first started to dance and things. We used to do little shows, but it was all in French, and I never knew what anybody was saying. And I never dare say, can I just say, I don't know what you're saying. And they used to give us milk. What's French for milk?
Day.
Olé.
Olé. So I used to go,
Not
olé, olé.
Not Olay.
There's your track to Benidorm.
Yeah.
Olé, 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 olé. So that was my olé, was the only thing that I understood.
Yeah.
And this milk used to be put on top of the black gridded fire to warm up, and it smelt of sick. And so, but they would make us drink it, and I would be sick over everywhere. And then I would have to go and stand in the corner in this French school that I knew nobody for the rest of the day. So in fact, no wonder I'm sort of a mixed up, strange person. Because at night I would then go to the theatre and be on stage modelling with my mother on the catwalk. So I don't quite know who I am really, Richard. It's very odd. And I can't speak French at all now. So that was a waste of bloody time, wasn't it?
I was going to say.
But nevertheless, Sherry, you've never missed out on an opportunity to flag up one of the shows from your huge, broad range
Vlog.
Olé,
Yay.
of work. Yes.
It's a skill.
Well done, Sherry.
Oh,
Douze points, my dear. Douze points.
this is who I am, Richard, as you know.
I know.
So Dee must have very interesting childhood memories, I think.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? But the one that I remember, the very first one, because I used to love stuffing things up my nose.
And they all say,
I don't think you can say that now, darling.
But and talking about grandmothers who not looking after the kids, So my grandmother was looking after me, and she gave me loads of newspapers, and obviously wasn't sort of paying attention. And I rolled all the newspaper into little sort of, prickly sort of balls and stuffed them up my nose. And when my mother came back, she was horrified because I could hardly breathe. And she had to take me to to A&E, to the hospital, and she was like screaming at my grandmother, saying, "What have you done to her? What have you done?" Anyway, so then
That's hysterical.
So obviously my mother wasn't looking after me either, because she put me on a rocking horse there, and I fell off, started crying, and all the newspaper came down, so it was fine. It all went. But I remember that really clearly. So obviously I was completely neglected as a child, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I must admit, ladies, it has all got rather dark. There's
Can I lighten it, darling?
Yeah, Harriet, can you take us back to the smell of fresh rushes when you were growing up?
Yes, darling. Yes, darling. Honestly, one of my earliest memories was trying to make my sister laugh. And that feeling when I accomplished that was the best feeling in the world, which is the revelation of the addiction to performing that we all have, whatever we do, is that need to have a voice and then get people to respond, either with huge applause, obviously, or laugh, or whatever you do. So that was one early memory. My other early memory is when I was 8. And again, as I've said before, going to LA, the smell of Los Angeles compared to North London State Primary School, going to an American school was so extraordinary. They had pine trees and the smell and hearing the crickets and everything. But it was with my Auntie Jean, which I may have said this to you before, swimming at Auntie Jean's, and she was very lovely. And my sister and I were swimming, and I was 8 and she was 5, and she was drying our hair afterwards. And then this guy walked in and he said, "Oh, hi." And she said, "Oh, this is my husband, Howard." We went, "Oh, hello." That was Jean Peters who was drying my hair, and that was Howard Hughes who'd walked into the room, her husband. But no pressure. Hashtag mic drop.
Wow.
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 On a counterbalance to that, when I was by the time I was, because my dad, who was...
How dark are you going, Sherry? How dark are you going?
Well, he was from Sunderland. And
we are the lads, that's why Sherry and I get on so
yeah, Mackham way, eh? My dad was from Sunderland, and he used to look after me because my mum was a muggle. So he used to put Newcastle brown ale in my bottle. So, and that was from the age of being born, really. So by the time I was 6 or 7, I used to go to the pub with my dad and have a pint of Newcastle brown ale.
I thought you were going.
So I've been pissed from the age of about 6, really.
Yes,
So it's not mother's ruin,
Yes.
It's father's ruin.
So that's as
not mother's
glamorous
ruin.
as Harriet's childhood, really, isn't it?
I think so. Now that's something actually you just said, Sherry. When did it come into law that you weren't allowed to go into a pub till you were 18? Or was it always the law?
Oh no, when my dad didn't care about that. I was always in the pub with him drinking, always. It didn't worry him. But then in Sunderland in those days, nobody worried.
But
It's just got
I mean, the thing is, I never went to the pub. Well, my grandpa and my father, we didn't go to pubs. In fact, I never went to a pub till I was 19.
Oh, I love.
Oh wow!
I used to remember we used to go down to the Legion or their the equivalent of it was my late grandpa Fred Arnold's sort of social club, and I remember the sort of the teak effect round tables that were always slightly sticky, from I don't know, Baby Chef, Sweet Cherry, and I remember they had a jukebox, and I absolutely loved the jukebox. And I remember my grandfather, when they sort of, moved all the records on from the jukebox or whatever, came home with a collection of them. He must have known me well, because I remember, and obviously they had the holes taken out so you could play them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was Marty Webb's "Take That Look Off Your Face."
Oh.
Couldn't have been any
That look
tougher.
off your face.
And there was the soundtrack to Minder as well, the theme tune to Minder.
Yes.
Wouldn't I could be so good for
Good
you.
for you.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So I remember those two songs very clearly. And again, I would have been about 7 or 8. And then my sort of final memory from those working men's clubs days, unlike you ladies, of course, who've danced in a few tables and filled a few smoke-filled rooms. I was but an innocent back then. As I went into the gents and then came out and turned to my nanny Floss and said, "Oh, look, Nan, I've won." And I don't know how I'd done it, but I'd broken into the condom machine thinking some kind of
Fabulous.
fruit machine, and just came out with my little Breton stripe t-shirt, you know, filled with condoms.
Oh,
So proud
Did
of
you
you,
think they were
darling.
balloons,
So
darling?
proud.
Beautiful.
Did you think they were
I think
balloons?
it's gradually getting lower and lower and lower. The tone is getting lower.
I love. Thank God, because we need this on a Saturday. It's perfect.
It is.
How low
perfect.
can you go?
Maybe next week, ladies, we can try and find our moral compasses. Wouldn't that be a revelation?
No.
What was that entail?
No.
I don't think we have one, dear.
Richard, can I say, a week on Monday, the 17th, have you got a plan for the first thing you're going to do when you can go inside anywhere?
Jack's diary. Talk amongst yourselves like you normally do. Here we go, the 17th. What have I got? It's my cousin Francis's birthday.
Oh, for God's sake, this is so boring. Why did you ask him this, Sherry?
Because I want to know where he's going.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the conversation.
Monday the 17th. I will be taking Mum out for a pint at our local inn, Marylebone.
Perfect.
Because the landlord called me about 3 weeks ago to say that they were definitely opening up, because they don't have an outside space. They were definitely opening up on that day. So it'll be a pint and a baked potato.
And I am going away on the 17th for a week. I'm not telling anybody where, but I'm unwonderbirding for a whole week.
We've paid her to do that. We've paid good money to get that. Just saying.
I can't wait.
I'm going to be somewhere. Thank you, Sherry.
Really, as always, it's been a genuine, unfettered.
Is that a knock at the
Nightmare.
door, Richard? Is that a
Knock on my door as well now. I'm going.
You're going.
Promise?
I'm leaving. I mean, somebody's about to knock on my door.
Yeah.
Everything's going to start barking in a minute. Oh, here we go.
Oh, is that
there we
the
go.
door? Is that the door? Is that the
It
door?
is.
I told
That's
you.
I'm going to have to answer it.
I said you, Debbie, unless you consolidated all your debts into one easy payment, they would come knocking, sweetheart.
Yes, there you go. And there they are. All
Lovely weekend, ladies.
Bye, darling.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
darling. See you Wednesday. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.